Hey, what's going on everybody, and welcome back to the Whiskey Cove. And on today's episode, we review Old Forester 100. Run the video. Alright then folks, thank you for joining us for another new and exciting episode of the Whiskey Cove, where we will be reviewing Old Forester 100. So recently we put a poll out on the Whiskey Cove's YouTube page, asking folks at home, what whiskey you would like us to review here down in the Whiskey Cove as part of the way we engage in the community because of the sponsorships that we've been getting on the channel lately. And if we didn't have the whiskey that you guys voted for, then we would go out and buy it. And you guys selected Old Forester 100, and unfortunately for me, I had this bottle, so I was very happy to do this review. A, because I haven't done this review before, B, because I love this whiskey, and C, I didn't have to spend money to go out and get it. So Old Forester 100 is a staple here down in the Whiskey Cove. It's a bottle that I've had on a lot of lists here in terms of best whiskeys for XYZ amount of price. If you're not a subscriber, definitely consider being one here as we hit some really fun videos coming up here on the Whiskey Cove. Hit that bell button as well so you're always reminded about any new videos that we are getting. If you want to support the Whiskey Cove even further than that, go over to the Whiskey Cove's Patreon, the Patreon / the Whiskey Cove. The link is down below in the description, where you can sign up for one of the select tiers, have early access to videos, free glasses, some samples that we send out every so often, and access to the Whiskey Cove WhatsApp channel as well there too. With that being said, let's delve on into today's video. So Old Forester 100, a little bit of information here about this bottle. Age on this bottle, non-age stated. Rumor has it about 4 to 6 years. It might be older, might be less, but that was the rumor. Mash bill on this is going to be 72% corn, 18% rye, and then 10% malted barley. MSRP fluctuates quite a lot depending on where you're at, between $20 and $30 from what I was able to find. It might be $30 for a lot of people, but state control places might be more closer to 20 there as well. Old Forester 100 is often referred to as Old Forester Signature 100. 100 representing the proof of the bottle, which is 50% ABV or 100 proof. It doesn't actually say signature anywhere on the bottle. It actually gets its name in the honors of the legacy of the founder George Garvin Brown, which features his signature on every bottle. Old Forester is the longest running bourbon brand on the market and was the first bourbon sold exclusively in sealed bottles. The brand is also noted as one of the few whiskeys that was allowed to be sold during Prohibition for its, quote, medicinal purposes. And it's even featured on the bottle's label. There is also an Old Forester 86 bottle that's called the Classic there as well. However, we will review an Old Forester 100 here today. So just looking at the bottle, it almost looks a little bit of a stumpy bottle, but it's a 750 milliliter bottle. And what I've always really liked about this is for the price you get 50% ABV or 100 proof there as well. I really like the kind of orange / red and black. It does have a screw cap, which doesn't exactly scream premium, but you're not exactly paying a premium price here for that. Has the typical Old Forester font and kind of off-white kind of eggshell color of the label there as well. Looking at the whiskey here in the glass, it's not completely dark like a mahogany. I would say it's almost like a shade higher than that, leaning into the ambers and maybe like the brown ales, if you like. It does do a really great job at holding to the glass there as I roll it. It's just leaving the whiskey hanging onto the glass as the alcohol evaporates there as well, which is always a pretty good sign here. Let's go in for a nose. I get a really nice like toasted walnut note straight off the bat, and some real dark caramel marshmallowy sweetness. Even though this isn't a double oaked or a toasted bourbon, it kind of has some of those hallmarks there. So there's a lot of Old Forester for me personally here anyway. Some of that almost like a Rice Krispie bar note there, like the Kellogg's Rice Krispie, which is like marshmallow and rice flour. A little bit of like a caramel popcorn there too. Let's go in for a tastier Old Forester 100. You get that classic cherry, like cherry candy. Those like old, I think I've talked about this a bunch on the channel, but cherry bubblegum candy, the old school ones on here. And that backs up with like that toasted walnut almost a little bit of yeast, a little bit of banana that you get from a lot of brown foreman products, and that's in this too. You have some more of that kind of caramel burnt sugar flavor that's there as well, a little bit of butterscotch, but a real richness that sits on the palate and coats the whole mouth. There's a true oiliness to this bourbon that again resonates with me as something that's a little bit more leaning towards like a double oaked whiskey instead. However, this isn't a double oaked whiskey. It is a 50% ABV, 100 proof, readily available whiskey that is on shelves and non-allocated, but it has a very classic palate that I'm really looking for in terms of mouthfeel with a whiskey. Let's go in for another taste here. As those sweeter notes seem to dance away and slowly go away, holding hands together, that walnut skin, toasted walnut note kind of takes over a little bit more again, and then it kind of transitions into a nice dry oak, and you do get a touch of heat in the chest here. It does remind you that this is a 50% ABV whiskey after all, and it just kind of sits right there. It's not too hot, but you do get a little bit of a burn there. I'm not gonna lie, that just is what it is. You get the drying of the mouth, you drying of the palate, and a little bit of a burn there, as you should with whiskey, because it is whiskey. All in all, a very complete and balanced whiskey. You have different areas of the whiskey. Sometimes it's dry on the finish, sometimes it's a little bit sweet on the palate, sweet on the nose as well. It offers a couple of different facets, a couple of different tasting experiences throughout the whole whiskey here. We've had a lot of new subscribers here on the Whiskey Cove, so thank you for being one if you are, and thank you to the other subscribers who have subscribed here anyway. So how we like to review whiskey on the Whiskey Cove is we like to give it a value or a value for money between A being the best and F being the worst. For that, we'd like to take other things into consideration, like findability, what the bottle looks like, and other bits and pieces there. And then we also like to do a score from 0 to 100, where 100 is the best bourbon you've ever tasted and 0 is just the worst, where we just rate the whiskey, the juice that's in the bottle. We don't take anything else into account. We just off taste and nose alone. So value for money, this is an A all day long, and that shouldn't be the biggest surprise that anybody's heard out there today. A all day long. It's like I said, it's very, very findable. I'm sorry if there's people in other states that find this a hard bottle to find, but I think even in like North Carolina and like Utah, I still think that you can find this. I think this is just a bottle that just exists everywhere. I've even seen this in Canada, and I think they can get this in the UK too as well. So yeah, A all day long. Anytime we do best value for money whiskeys, this is going to sit on that list at that spot, right close to the top there. So in terms of score out of 100, and in terms of where this whiskey should generally sit for like a $22, $23 bottle, which is what I pay for here in Colorado, it shouldn't be so high up as probably that I'll put this bottle. I do like Old Forester. I think Old Forester kind of suits my palate a lot of what I'm looking for in a whiskey. Maybe more of a sweeter whiskey that has some really nice cherry notes and some wood notes, but then also offers a good finish there as well. I think this delivers here. The proof is on point. I'm going to give this a 79 out of 100. Really good. I think that's an excellent score if you take into account that 50 is average. This is well above average, on its way to being a fantastic, awesome whiskey. The only thing that's stopping it is maybe just a little bit more ABV, where you can draw more of those natural sugars out of the wood. Maybe a little bit more age. We haven't reviewed the 1920 or the 1910 on this channel. The only Old Forester that we've reviewed actually is the 1924. And I can't remember the score I give that, but I think I give this a higher score. I think I'd give that maybe low 70s. Well, the score we give you today kind of put that other bottle to shame. So don't spend your money on the Old Forester 1924. Go ahead and spend it on this bad boy. $23, $25, you'll be hard-earned money, worth it every single day of the week. So If you're someone who doesn't visit YouTube that often, definitely go over to the Whiskey Cove's webpage, check out the community tab specifically, and see if there's any polls there, because that's how we're going to be doing a lot of these reviews. We're going to give you folks the opportunity at home to select what you want to review. If we don't have that ball to review, we will go out and use some of the Whiskey Cove's sponsorship money that we got from the sponsorships. Thank you to those for doing that, because it allows us to do some of these reviews, and we will go and buy said bottle. So as we drink through the world's whiskies one glass at a time, Old Forester 100, it's just a staple. Cheers.